Wow, so this is a first for me in
Me
my
too.
my current phase YouTube era. Recording a conversation with a person expressly in order to air on the channel, and I am very excited to speak with the one and only Professor Skye. You know, it's funny as I've partaken in this journey
Yeah.
of artist slash video creator here on this platform. You know, there's this phenomenon of starting to build personal relationships with people who I've consumed their content, people who I've been a fan of, and you know, for a lot of reasons, it's been a challenge for me to navigate all of the roles. But one that I find so consistently interesting is, just being able to text somebody like you and other folks from Culture United and squaring having personal connection outside of the talks we have on platform, but just enjoying each other's content. And I mean, you've been such an interesting presence in the space since before I knew you. I think the first thing I saw was your anime, pardon, your anime trauma and divorce review, which I found so incredibly insightful. After being afraid to click on it, of course,
Of course.
I've been very afraid to click on it. I
There's a
found
high
it.
barrier of entry to me. Like most people, when they talk to me and like, I love your channel, I didn't want to click on them forever. I'm like, who is this white guy? Who is this pretentious guy? Who is this professor guy? Like, I wouldn't click on me either. So I don't blame anybody for not
I
clicking.
mean, I think that's one of the coolest things you do, though, is that you're so aware of that and you fold that into all the discussions that you have. I think that, like, because I think for a lot of people who are concerned about folks who, feel outside of the culture commenting on it, just that little bit of acknowledgement, like, it just goes so far. And I
Yeah.
think it gives you so much space to be validated or be challenged or to grow in understanding or to bring different things to the table. So I don't know. I'm always really happy that you've taken that approach. I'm happy that you love this music the way
Yeah.
that you do, and that you're down
And
to talk about it.
I mean, I just that anime trauma divorce album. I don't remember exactly what I said. I know how I feel about the album, but like, if that had come out when I was going through my divorce in 2013, 2014, that would have done so much for me because like you were able to put into words what just literally nobody like there is no great divorce album that I can think of, like and that's what I love about hip hop is you have so many words. Like, you
Yeah,
have to,
we get
you have
to-
to use you can't just like have a chorus be like, whatever, Nilsson, like you're breaking my heart. F you. like you have to say and what you just said so much, like it's legitimately like a public service for humanity that there's an album that fits exactly how it feels to be a generally good guy going through a divorce. So yeah, that's
Well, I appreciate that, man. And that whole we get to use so many word things is like a blessing and a curse. So many rakes to step on, the more words you have in a song. But what we're here to talk about today is that you did a fantastic review of my new album, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. And originally, since we have personal connections, you had texted me a couple of ideas you had about interesting ways we could approach that, given that we do know each other, and you were interested in speaking about the album. I mean, so let me just say off top too, like yourself, Fantano, Justin Hunt, Curtis King, all of the people that folks are familiar with talking about all of this stuff, and they make all of this wonderful content. Part of the challenge for me in this is like when you're just an artist, you have such a safe distance from all of the discourse. But being sort of embedded and active in the sphere now, I remember having this thought of like, oh, maybe they won't want it. Maybe none of them are going to want to talk about it now, since it's kind of weird that
Yeah.
like we all know each other. And, and I've known Fantano for some years too, but I can say that I've spoken to him personally more in the past, like year, than I
Yeah.
have over the entire time that we've known each other. So, I think I'm in an interesting position. I think for you as a reviewer, it puts you in an interesting position as well. So, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for talking about it, because that might not necessarily be easy to do.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because like you're totally right. My initial idea was to record my video with you like a little box like on the screen watching me while I was doing it, which is like an interesting idea in theory, but is a terrible idea in practice. and like I used to make music, and I remember, so like I took a year off before college to like make an album. We never released it. It was before internet, so whatever. And I remember playing it for a friend of mine, and I got so nervous playing it for him that I put the car in reverse when it's supposed to be going forward.
Whoa.
And I backed up. I banged into his car. I did like $1,000 worth of damage to his bumper. And I never so the net result of that whole album was me just like, he's like a friend of mine. Like we were friends in high school, but I'm just like so nervous. So yeah.
That's so real though. Like that's a real portrait of an artist experience right there, is that you've poured your heart into something and you're so afraid to show it to a friend that you wreck your own property and theirs too. Like that's something right there.
Yeah.
So the way I wanted to approach this conversation, I thought your review was so dope and so thoughtful and so insightful. I made a few notes on it, but I think it was more in the sense of just things that I wanted to follow up with you on, knowing that I was going to have this opportunity too.
Awesome.
So I wanted to go through those and then kind of turn it over to you to pursue any conversation you wanted to pursue based on the projects and the project and thoughts and feelings you had about it. So the first note that I made, and you have to pardon my brain a little bit, I'm literally like at home for one day in between tour legs.
Wow.
I've just driven completely around the western region of the country for a week and a half playing shows. So my brain is a little bit mashed potato. So pardon me if for certain moments I forget how to read.
And you gotta plug, if you go to the show in Rochester, New York, 100% chance of seeing me there. So
I get to dap up Professor Skye. Yeah, okay, that's a bonus.
I mean, that was for other people, Mike. That's for like other people, to incentivize them to come to the show.
Of course,
get two for one YouTuber commentary.
you can maybe take a picture with both of us.
That's right.
The first note that I made is that you said something about me having a 360 deal on myself.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh. But I wanted to unpack that a little bit. It's an interesting way to think about what it means to be a creator doing different things, different types of content. I wonder if you could just say a little bit more about what you meant by 360 deal on myself.
Well, like, because you are independent, and because you tour, and because you release albums, and because, as we'll discuss later, you even like send the albums out yourself. Like, you're really doing everything. I guess you're not producing all the tracks entirely by yourself, but you're not just like typing in open mic eagle like beat on YouTube and just downloading it. So like you're doing all of that, and so like the benefit is a 360 deal is good for the artist because they don't have to think about anything, and they get promoted and they get cared for, and the better the artist does, the better the company does. So the company in theory should be working for the artist. In practice, usually not. But then you're totally independent. So when you add on to the YouTube thing, which is like a different style of like commentary, and then you also throw on that podcasts, it's like you're doing everything all the time, and it's all to benefit you, but you have to be your own record label. Like, you're not just an independent artist, you're like your own machine.
I mean, 100%. And I'm front facing on everything. I think the way that I do things, I do have a lot of partners that I work with. I have a manager who does a lot on the record label side. I have a booking agent who lines up all the tours. I have fulfillment people that I use because like you noted, I ended up sending you 2 records because at that point, I was, and I still do sometimes. I do fulfillment on my own, depending on what the project is, right? Like, so I just sold out of the special edition of the album. That's like 500 copies. So that I'm gonna farm out to my fulfillment people to take care of that, because I don't want to go to the post office 79 times over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I have done that, and it's
I
not
bet.
good. It's not good for the consumer. It's not good for me or the post office employees. So, I do have maybe more support than it seems like, but it is a lot that I do. I have been in conversations with people where I tell them like what my day looks like, and I just watch their eyes glaze over because they just couldn't imagine one person doing so many different types of things on the internet in one day, either front facing or behind the scenes. So, and I was going to validate that you were correct about that line being, and the line was, and you got to pick a side, basically,
Right.
in the song "Unlimited Skull Voices," and you were so correct in framing the song as the complete spectrum of things that I hear about myself or have heard about myself. And as a creator, right, you have to have a certain shield, a certain buffer against internalizing all of that stuff. But I think the truth of the matter is, you do hear all the things, and you don't necessarily read everything, but you get a sense of how your work is being received or contextualized by people. You get a sense of what the general criticisms are of you, or the general things that people like about you. And at this point in my career, 10 albums in, it's not so much that I have to contend with it, but in an album that is about fracturing, I did think it was important to acknowledge that stuff was there. And, it does, or it did, have a little bit of an origin in a Culture United conversation.
I knew it.
Yeah, it was absolutely true, because that at that point I was just sort of stepping into the discourse, and I can
Yep.
say in hindsight, I didn't necessarily understand the nature of it until
Right.
that conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the dynamics at play. I didn't understand the depths of the tribalism, and I didn't understand the lack of nuance, as you just put it a moment ago. I think all of
Yeah.
that became very front and center to me. That a lot of people in this discourse space, a lot of the consumers of the discourse, aren't necessarily there to observe or engage in a discourse. They're there to have their point of view validated, and they're there to hopefully watch the opposition get stomped out or clowned. And I did find myself very, very surprised and a little disappointed by the lack of nuance present in those conversations, because I come from a very particular space. I've been listening to rap, like seriously listening to rap, since like 1995. Like, I've been rapping myself since 1996. Like, a lot of my point of view on a lot of this stuff is coming from a place of like understanding craft, understanding business, understanding PR narratives, understanding that there's an entire realm of all of this stuff that we'll never know because it's personal. Because just like we'll have group chats, like they also have group chats.
Yep.
There's things that are really, really personal. And a lot of what's put out there has very intentional holes in it, and I think we all fall through them all the
Yep.
time. So it's been interesting, but I did want to validate that you were correct in zeroing in on where that came from.
And I think it even goes like one step further. It's not just that people want to hear what they already think. It's they want the person who's talking to them to make them feel like they are the person they want to be. So the example is, I have a friend who's a Danish guy, and he has a friend who does tiny house content. you know, like the little tiny houses and and the guy's like, he's been off the grid for 5 years, does it for real, like 13 square meter house. And all of his videos where he's talking about like how to actually do it, like how to get the water to work, how to eat enough, how to refrigerate without being on the grid, all that stuff doesn't get a lot of views. But when he goes on there and starts talking about how you need to get off the grid and the importance of living with nature and we've gone too far, those videos go through the roof. So he is incentivized to talk to people who don't live in tiny houses about what he learns, so that when you watch it, you can be like, yeah, I live in a tiny house. I mean, I don't. I live in an apartment. But it's like I do, because that's how I feel. So yeah, I mean, I'm always on the fence of that, because like there is an importance to these sides, right? Like, it's not like these sides are just arbitrary. The Drake and Kendrick thing is actually important. But like, if you think Open Mike Eagle is not on the correct side of history and hip hop, then you're just not like paying attention to who Open Mike Eagle is, and that's fine. You don't have to. But like, you know, if I come out there and I'm sort of like saying sort of things that people don't agree with, or it seems like I'm trying to undercut Kendrick, whatever it is, that's one thing. But like, you know, you don't have to talk about it. You've been doing it since 1996. So,
Right.
yeah, and that's, yeah, I that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, were you upset with me for my initial framing of the review? Do you mind if we cut to that question?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Okay.
do it.
So I was being a little bit of a trickster. And
Okay.
I put forth a false narrative that I was going to be making the point that you were on Drake's payroll.
You know, it's so funny. That's literally, that was my next note.
Oh, good.
Like, I love that. I
Okay.
love that sort of play.
Yeah.
As risky as it is, I'm so with it.
Okay, good. I figured, but like I didn't ask you beforehand, and so I changed the title. So the initial title of the video was Open Mike Eagle shills for Drake, and the first hour that the video was up, it got way more views than in any other underground rap, any other Sam and Jerky rap that I cover. Way more, and that was why. And people were tuning into the live premiere, being like, I've never heard of this guy. Is he any good? And then people were saying, oh yeah, like, hey, this is dope. And so like, it was actually bringing people to
Right.
your music. But I eventually, but it was like, I was basically trolling in the name of good. Because it was possible to draw a conspiracy theory in which that was the case, and using the Culture United, where you were trying to apply nuance to discussing Kendrick Lamar, which was evidence that you were on the wrong side of history. You know, it all connected in that conspiracy brain, and I was trying to be super clever about it, because then that ties into the whole idea of the first song about went to bed ignorant and woke up knowing everything. So I was trying to be the person who was finally unblinded to the truth about Open Mike Eagle.
I mean, I think by the time I saw the review, the title had changed.
Okay.
But I saw a couple of those comments, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, you must have
Yeah.
originally framed it a different way.
I'll change it back if you want.
I mean, it's interesting, because I am in a place where I'm at, right? My last couple of videos that I made on YouTube, I think a couple were about Lil Wayne, one was about clips, and it was tough. It has been tough in the last couple of months for me making videos, because I've been focusing on my own work, and it's so difficult to navigate knowing what works on platform, knowing what draws attention, knowing what makes a video do well, and then also knowing that I don't really want to talk about that right now.
Right.
So like, you know, like it's so funny. I'm still chewing on your tiny house friend, and how like tiny house self-identity is the stuff that like brings people in, even if he doesn't want to talk about that. And it's like, in this space, Drake is the thing that brings people in.
Yep.
Even if you don't want to talk about it. And I legitimately don't. Like, that's the feeling, the emerging feeling that I'm having to contend with in these spaces. I think that when I am not in a product cycle, especially not one as personal as this, it's easier for me to rationalize, I'll find my way into it. It's popping. I'll find my way into it. And that's part of the fun, I guess.
Totally.
You know, but you know, you using Drake for the for a review of my stuff, it's like, oh, that's like all the things happening at once.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, and a thing that, as a hip hop discourse space, something that I think it'll be interesting to see how we all deal with that, because all of us want to be successful. I don't think all of us want to talk about certain things or products as much as we end up having to, I guess.
Yeah.
And then for those amongst us who are artists, of which there are a growing number, that's always going to be an interesting balance too, because I, as much like, okay, YouTube has made me decent money, but not enough to like come on here and not be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So so I don't know. I look forward to seeing how all of this ultimately gets untangled. Next note: there was a shoe store in the Water Tower that sold Mephistos. It was called the Walking Company.
Okay.
And me and Akil's the other rapper on the song. Me and him literally were in high school together, and we worked there, and we both robbed them blind all the time.
He did respond to my video saying that there used to be one there. So so in your honor, because I wasn't able to then, I will show you the Mephistos.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. See, even with the insert there.
Wow.
Yeah, these are the ones I bought in Paris. They were on sale. They're my blue suede shoes.
Updated the design a little bit. They used to be like a lot uglier than that. I don't even I couldn't even describe them. They look like Pro-Keds that were orthopedic in nature. Was. So I'm glad to see that they've gotten a little more stylish over time.
And they're not made in the third world, so it's nice because they're made in Europe, so they're not like made by children, stuff like that, and you can so show them Mephisto. When you said
show them Mephisto.
They can't possibly be talking about Mephistos.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. We were in high school. We were working for like this. So the shoes at the Walking Company, this retail store that had the highest price point, were the Mephistos. Like they were like $300.
Yep.
And everything else was like 100 and something. So it benefited this retail outfit the most for us to be showing people these shoes, because when they tried them on, if they could afford them, they always bought them because they felt so much better than all of the other shoes. And then we can give them the whole sales pitch about how they conform to your feet and all of that stuff. And yeah, that was all true story stuff. It's all true story stuff.
Well, it's a really good story, and what I really liked about it was, I think, the Aquil line about like he trusted me, which made me dislike.
That was
him.
my line. Yeah,
that was your line.
Yeah, he trusted me too much. I took it as insult. I took me some Timbos. Yeah,
right. So I just sort of said, like, I feel like I understand that intellectually, but like I had a hard time. Part of my thing is, I can say things that other people are thinking but can't say. I can't actually. Do you want to explain that, or just
sure? I would love to. I would love to. I thought that because this was like a weird guy. This guy was weird.
Like Mike Scott, yeah.
yeah, ex-military but low rank, coffee breath. Always trying to be very buddy with you, but also like always leaning into the power structure of the place. And I felt like, even from when he hired me, I always got this sense of like, it's almost like in rap music when people say, I don't usually like rap music, but I like this.
Right.
You know what that can be code for? Like, he always gave me that, like, you're one of the good ones type energy.
I see.
Which was like, okay, well, that means I have to steal from you.
I don't know if you ever heard me talk about my favorite example of that. A friend of mine in high school said, I don't usually listen to rap, but I do like this one group, G-Love and Special Sauce.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is like literally, I mean, I'm a white guy, so I've heard a lot of very white things. That was the white thing I've ever heard.
So yeah, that's what that was about. Almost broke my nucleus of humans. Does mean something. It might not mean, but I think it means. But I intended it to mean the that's like the pleasure censor. And when to my understanding, and I haven't been in college for a long time, but to my understanding, like when you smoke crack, for instance, like that's the area of the brain that it completely overloads as a nucleus of humans. So that was that. Like basically, got so high, got so ecstatic, almost broke it. Is what that's supposed to mean. The phone shit really happened, and it really fucked me up. My phone, I did really drop my phone, and it got ran over by a truck, and
Well, what I want to do too is I really want to plug the Rap Music Plug podcast.
yeah.
So you did an interview with them, and he's finally showing himself on screen, which really
Okay, I didn't
really
realize
helps.
he didn't do that before.
Yeah, I don't think so. And he is just like doing God's work. It's crazy.
Yeah, he is.
He's interviewed everybody, and like he's so sometimes I just get jealous of people, and it makes me not want to like interact with them. So I was jealous of him. I was jealous of him for a long time for all the interviews he got, and then I started watching him. Like, God damn it! So like he did this great interview. That you told the whole story there. So like, the fact that he does what he does means that like a lot of other people who are sort of in the space trying to give hip hop its due and recognize creative art, like we can kind of breathe a little bit because it's like, okay, there's like a great interviewer doing it at top level, and he only gets whatever 1,000 views a video, but like those videos are going to be used in 50, 100 years because they're so useful. So yeah,
I so hope they do. I mean, yeah, shout out to Rap Music Plug podcast. That was one of the better interviews I've done I've been a part of in years. Just so thoughtful and so intent on unpacking things in a way that just felt just completely just energizing. So that was awesome. But I did tell the story on that podcast if people are interested in hearing it of my phone getting ran over, and what I think where the song came from was the sense of loss that I sort of had to confront about the creative stuff that I had on that phone that I hadn't backed up anywhere. So and having to deal with that loss sort of ground the progress on the whole project to a halt until I made that song, and I was able to sort of process it from there. And then the last note that I had, then I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, no, I want to go back to that one.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't quite shit on that song, but I said it was like my least favorite, right? I think what you're doing is actually more important than I initially understood, because like it's at its heart, it's also a question of art and technology and how artists are relying on and counting on technology in ways that I'll just say we, because I feel similar stuff with like my videos and even my classes. Like,
right.
Like when you get a great idea, you are trusting so much when you put that idea into your computer, into your phone, whatever it is,
right.
that like, and we never, human beings didn't say, okay, we are going to outsource all of our thoughts to something that can be run over by a truck, right?
Right.
I mean, John Lennon didn't have to think about Imagine and then put it on a magical box, and then that box could be deleted, right? Like he wrote it down on a piece of paper. So I think there is something deeper about what that song is, because so much of this album, as far as you're the one who made it, but it feels like a lot of it's about the artistic process and how it interacts with technology, and like what is an artist in 2025 in relationship to technology. And just it's terrible. I mean, in 2016 my computer just got completely wiped, and no one told me that everything's on the cloud now. It used to be if your computer crashed, you could take it to a repair shop, give them $1,000, and you get all your stuff back.
Right.
Now it's gone, like completely gone. I lost 10 years of PowerPoints for my classes, just like
goodness.
that. I lost all these like song ideas I had. And you then have to get to the next part, which is like, is this some kind of cosmic karmic thing telling me I need to start over? I need it, whatever is good will survive. But like, what if those songs were good, Mike? What if the things that you started were better than the things that you did? And you'll just never know. So
I mean, and to me, the importance of the conversation is dealing with that grief. Even though that grief sounds silly, I think for a creator, it's real grief.
Yeah,
like it's really something. And I think in one of the great things missing from our society is space to grieve. Our sort of capitalistic machinery just expects us to push through shit all the time, but it's like, wait a minute,
grind.
I can't push through. I am sad.
Yeah. No, it's real grief. So yeah, and that's Yeah, which is why that Clips album is great, because it's also about grieving.
I haven't heard it yet, but it's on my list. It's on my list.
Before you get to your last question, it's been good for you that the Clips came out at the same time as yours, probably. Do you think?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I don't think
it's
so.
Been bad?
I would say it's been it's made things a little more difficult because I think all of the people who are interested in me engaged with my stuff. I think there's a swath of people who were casually aware of me and may have been a little more primed to check my stuff out if certain outlets were talking about it, if there weren't other things that they were more interested in digging into first. And now, we arrived today and there's a new Tyler album already. So it's the people who are on that are already probably going to jump to that thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's not the worst thing ever. I think I'm very proud of how it's performed so far, in despite all of that, but I don't think it helped.
Okay. I don't know. Part of me thinks that the Boldy James project and that I guess because the Clips album is legitimately so good and so well made and so rap. To me, it feels like, maybe it's just because I'm paying more attention than most people, that that day will just be remembered as wow, this, look at all these things that came out from all these different areas. But then Pitchfork kind of screwed you over by giving Clips a worse grade than your album. But
I mean, did they screw me over?
Well, okay, yes and no. So they gave you a very high score, which you earned, but then they gave the Clips a relatively low score. So I think that might, because they came out the same week, I haven't seen, but I imagine that there's people what the hell? What else is supposed to be better than this? This? What are you talking about? Superman? So.
You know what? Yeah. I bet that's not that many people at all. I bet. We talk about fragmentation. I think that the audience that cares about the Clips probably doesn't care much about the score Pitchfork gave them.
Yeah.
The audience that cares about me probably cares more about the score Pitchfork gave me. So I think it's all good. But one last note, and I'm going to turn it over to you. And this isn't even a question. This is more of an admission. I really did think Daffy Duck was on one of those shirts. I could have swore to God, if I had to put up money, I would have lost money betting that Daffy Duck was on one of those hood shirts when I was a kid. But then I went looking I'll show, and there was not. There was not Daffy Duck on one of those. Yeah,
Wile E. Coyote got the call over Daffy.
Yeah, so I'm forced to concede the point that just existed in my imagination.
So yeah, that's the let's see. It's inside. Should I grab the copy of Anime Trauma that I'm giving away?
No, you don't have to grab him now.
Okay.
I'd much rather get into your mind.
Okay, but this is the key. So if you want to get a free copy of Anime Trauma Divorce, sealed vinyl that Mike sent me by mistake, you need to put in the comments of this video why Daffy, and then I'll pick one of those at random that's on Open Mike's video, and then also on my video, on my review. And if I see that you're in both places, then I'll say that you won, and I'll send it out to you. Does that work?
All right, Scott doing the Lord's work here.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you're the one
now
you
said the question is why Daffy?
Yeah, you just have to put why Daffy, because that's my because the truth is, Mike, what's another word for a duck?
I don't know.
A male duck is also called a drake. So.
Oh, see, and I love this because that's how easily it can be to spin a web of lies. And I wish we all understood that. I just wish we all understood that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to turn it over to you with as much and as much as you would like to. Any points you want to follow up on or expand upon in terms of the album Neighborhood Gods of Liberty?
Yeah, so the breaking glass motif, I didn't really touch on that in my review, but it occurs at least in the beginning, and then on then on the I Broke My Phone song. Is there some kind of added, because I always just think of the message just every time I hear broken glass, people pissing on the steps and they just don't care. Is there some other thing to that? Was there some reason why that was like a motif you went back to?
Yes. This album is centered around the story of a person, myself, but it's not completely autobiographical. It's like biofiction. A person that gets shattered.
Okay.
And that's why that sound comes back. I think it's like 5 times in the album that sound happens.
Right. Okay, so that's the sound of you actually crashing.
Yes.
And then also, I didn't comment on the H. John Benjamin reference, but I just want to thank you for making an H. John Benjamin reference. Some of us have been down with him since Dr. Katz.
Dr. Katz, yes. That was the first time I heard that those dulcet tones was Dr. Katz.
Well, I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, this guy's really cool. I remember thinking, because he plays the son on Dr. Katz, and thinking of that. So I guess the biggest question, and this is maybe one that you can't answer, but like, do you think you've made it?
No.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think making it looks like? Because I'm trying to think, because you're doing so much and you're trying so hard, and you're having so much success that I'm wondering, like, do you feel that at all?
I have. So okay, when I think about that question, not only am I thinking about all the stuff that I do now, I think about all the stuff that I've done before.
Right.
And I am a person who has had his own television show to the degree that there was a brief couple of months where when I opened my bedroom window, I looked out and was able to see a billboard with my face on it. And I thought, surely then I had made it.
Yeah.
But I had not. The show didn't do great. It wasn't, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why. I think ultimately it just came down to where we were in terms of Comedy Central's budget line items. Like, we were a stand-up show, and the way that they had their network constructed and ad sales set up, stand-up shows could only be on Friday nights. And I don't think that was the night for this hip new thing that we were trying to do, when only people's like grandmothers and shit were at home. So that didn't bode well for us.
Right.
And it came and went. And that was the most like a corporation had ever invested in me. That was the most I had ever been publicized, pushed, promoted, the most I'd ever been paid. Right. And I thought surely that was setting me up for a different level of notoriety, success, and future wealth. And that's not what happened. You know, I ended up having to go even harder indie after that. And I would say that, like, I love everything I do, but I do most of it because I have to.
Yep.
And I think that if I had made it or was something closer to that, I wouldn't be doing all these things, because I would also like to sleep, and I would like to play video games, and I would like to hang out with my kid more, you know, stuff like that. So, no, I think I'm working really hard right now, and I'd like to find a way not to have to.
Right. So that would be how you'd know you'd make it, is when you would feel that you had to work less.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, I mean, I was thinking about that with the show, and I was thinking about, like, that must have been really messed with your mind, you know, and not just not just the billboard. I assume you've seen The Substance.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just that's my image of you, like, looking out the window, like in The Substance. But like, it's funny because it reminds me of like certain times in my life. Like, so I also collect Chewbacca figures. That's one of my other things. So like, I have a ridiculous Chewbacca collection. And one time I was interviewed by like This Weekend in America or something. It was like a offshoot of This American Life, and they interviewed me, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm going to finally make it. I'm finally, and then they just never aired it. And then I
Oh
was
my
like,
God!
And then I was interviewed. I was interviewed by Morgan Spurlock's company for, and I was like walking around a Star Wars convention. They made this whole professional documentary about me as a collector, and they were going to release it, and it was going to be released on TV right before showing the movies. And then the whole thing got bought by Verizon, and it was only aired on Verizon phones on an app that you had to download.
Go 90. Go 90.
Go 90.
Believe me. The Dark Comedy Late Show video was shot exclusively for Go 90. It lived there for a year before it could ever even get put on YouTube. Same
Wow.
stuff.
Well, yeah, Go 90. I didn't know that we're fellow victims of Go 90. So like, and then even, you know, like I keep on wondering, like, I almost have this moment. I almost have this moment of some kind of like creative fulfillment, some sort of like successful thing, and then like kind of slips away, which is why the whole YouTube thing has been so funny, because it was like just some random video I did, like making fun of a Drake song. Like, that's it. Like, that's what made me make it. Like, that's my contribution to humanity. Is that I'll take it, because I'll just keep doing other stuff. But yeah. So I was wondering
One thing that I realized early on in my career, I can remember, because I started really doing this in like 2005, 6. Like I'm going to record, I'm going to put out stuff, I'm going to be, you know, an indie artist. And I remember at that time, what felt like the flyest shit you could do was be on the front page of MySpace. That was the flyest shit you could do. Like, as a musician, was like, type in myspace.com, bam, there's Open Mike Eagle on the Coachella stage, like whatever, right? And I would have this thought like, oh, once I get that, or if I'm able to get that, everything's different now. And you know, I never got that, but I had a bunch of cool stuff happen in my career. I remember when I did WTF with Mark Maron, like, that was huge, right? But it wasn't a game changer necessarily. Like, the early lesson for me was that there was really no such thing as that. And I think that for some people, maybe there is, but that just wasn't going to be how my career looked like. My career wasn't going to look like a thing happens to make the bucket tip over. My thing was just going to be drop here, drop there, drop here, drop there, to where, like, I have an audience, and a lot of them are really deeply engaged with me, and so with that, I'm able to do YouTube and do Twitch, you know, make music, do podcasts, because a lot of the people who are into me are into all these different things, and that's like it's just a constant blessing, a constant thing that I'm grateful for. But I don't think it's realistic for me to think that, especially if having the television show with my name on it on cable TV, where I had, you know, songs with Lizzo and Method Man and MF Doom, like, if that didn't do it, right? Yeah. I just don't think that that's a thing that exists for me. I think my thing is just going to be the grind, and hopefully I grind to a level where something delivers a yield that allows me to not have to do everything.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was on the Rap Music Plug podcast as well, talking about how you are inspiring to people, and I think that's it. Like, I think the fact that you're doing YouTube the way that you're doing YouTube as well, you know, you're not doing it like whatever. Who from the '90s? Who are the guys from the '90s that are doing it? Anyways, some of the like old heads from the '90s are doing shows, and it's like super polished.
I like Rock from Helter Skelter's channel.
Okay.
he cracks me up, man. That guy cracks me up.
Yeah, but because you do it in the sort of authentic voice way, I think that really works. And I think people, it helps to relate to you. And I think at a certain point, probably when you do make it, you'll turn around and go, oh, I guess this is making it. I mean, I'm who knows when that'll be. But yeah, it probably won't be a billboard. It'll probably just be when you just realize that, like, the number of people who just are into the 360 Open Mike Eagle experience.
I mean, you know,
yeah.
and I was just having this conversation with I'm on tour with Cavalier right now. Cavalier is an amazing
Yeah.
rapper out of New York, and you know, I was having a conversation with him. Look, so if the question is have I made it, I would say no. But the other side of that is this: if I go back to my 16-year-old self that started rapping
Yeah.
and tell him I was going to have 2 songs with MF Doom, I was going to have beats from Diamond D, I was going to have a podcast where Prince Paul tells me about his life, or Questlove tells me about his life, or Dante Ross or LP, that I was going to tour around the world on my music and have, you know, rooms full of people singing hooks I wrote, like my young self would have his mind blown.
Yep.
Right. And so I guess I look at making it as a sort of state of little financial stress, I guess, because I do feel like I'm currently and I'm doing well right now, but I feel like the state of my life is infused with a lot of financial stress, which makes and me not being able to relax makes me feel like, no, I haven't made it. I still have work to do. I still have things to make. What do you mean? What do you mean? But just in terms of the things that I've been able to accomplish, the life I've been able to put together, and that the foundation of all of that is making exactly the rap music that I want to make. I do think that's amazing and beautiful, and that does not escape me at all.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and you mentioned that on the rap music plug too. Just that getting to meet people who you respect is part of the payment, and
yes,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, the fact that goofy ass video that I did about Drake got me so much success that then I was on Justin Hunt's radar, and then I'm working with Justin Hunt. It's like, I mean, that's even beyond you and beyond FTC. I mean, even if it was like just Justin Hunt, just getting to work with somebody who I've watched that much, even just that, and then just on top of all that, the rest of it. If you told me when I started my YouTube channel, it's funny. So the other question I had was, so you taught me what the word head ass means. but now it's changing, and I think you and Curtis need to have a conversation, because head ass, Curtis King uses head ass to mean dumbass, and you define head ass as being like a specific kind of dumbass, right? Who thinks he's so smart, or is like so smart that he's stupid, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, anyways, I just need to work out kind of a slang thing. I'm just trying to set up a conversation at some point. Like, has the term head ass changed, or what do you think?
I mean, I certainly, I can't be surprised if it had, because every term does.
Yeah.
You know, I look at how my son's generation and how their, the terminology that they use is a lot of times taking words that we used, and then, you know, they're evolving. I mean, like,
like
I guess that's what words do. Cap. Yeah, like there's a plethora of terms that just constantly shift and change. And what I learned when Hotep sort of became this like slur,
right?
I was like, oh, well then I can't have feelings about the meaning of any word, because this used to be like this really beautiful thing that, like, you know, the conscious black people on campus said to each other that was like really pure and really cool.
Right.
And then it got corrupted. And I remember I had a terrible argument on old school Twitter when I was trying to argue that we shouldn't even allow the term to be corrupted. And the person was arguing back that this already happened. Like, there's already like these terrible dudes who have already taken the word for themselves. And,
right.
And it's like, you know, and ultimately that person was right. Like, that word took on the characteristics of a certain subset of people who were using it, and they claimed it for themselves. And now you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
So, you know, if head ass means something else, means something else. Okay.
There you go. And then a couple music questions. So you did do the Hot Buttered Soul shout out. Was that like just because it sounded like a word from a spelling bee, or are
that
you
is
trying
exactly why. That is exactly why.
I got so excited. I almost texted you when I first heard it when the single came out, because I was like, oh man, he's trying to. Yeah. Anyways, I told the story about what it was like the first time I heard that song.
I mean, you know, I'm a huge fan of that album, so you know, that word bounces around in my mind all the time.
And you, like, would you be capable of saying it right now correctly?
Hyperbolic, syllabic, sesquidaily mystic, I think.
Damn, that is impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I had to say it a lot in the studio, you know.
Yeah.
And I performed that song on stage too, so yeah, I've been getting a lot of practice lately. Well, we'll talk again at some point, at some time for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for making this time. Thanks for doing that very thoughtful review, and thanks for coming on and letting me chat with you a little bit about it. I think this was very cool.
Yeah, thank you. And if next time you see Drake, if you just tell him like, come on my show, or whatever, that'd really help. Because
I don't know, he's still me and him. We know he's still got an open invoice, so I'm not talking to him till that thing is paid.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.